Good morning, all. Ira Epstein of Linn Associates with your morning flash update for this June 19th, 2019. Boy, 19s and 19s there. And the time just after 9:10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Well, in the markets, don't expect a lot of action until we get closer to 1 o'clock. Today's the Fed day, and now the question is, what does the Fed do? 20% or so think that the market will see a rate cut today. That's not a high percentage. It means 80% don't expect it. The numbers sort of slew higher as you go into July through September. But the whole key is going to be two parts. Number one, what does the statement say? People are betting that the Fed drops the word patience, which means they're getting ready to make a move. If the word patience stays in there, then you got to ask yourself, what does that mean? Are they going to not make a move quicker than people think? We then get the press conference where it's really going to be put to the Fed chair. So as I see it, the statement, 1 o'clock, gets the first round of algorithm traders going. The second part at 1:30 when the press conference goes, that's the next part. And then you still have to get through overnight what does Asia and then Europe think about it, because you got to think of the time differences, and the stock markets in Asia closed, and then you get the European opening. This is very typical, but it's a big report. Keep that in the back of your mind. Crude still slipping. The U.S. today smartly said that they're not going to be the lone champion of the Straits of Hormuz and so on. You know, if you think about it, we don't get that much oil from that area. Who's getting it is China, Japan. I can go on with India. I can go on with other countries. Why aren't they sending their ships? Because they are, if you will, on friendly terms with Iran. We're the bad guys because we're not letting the exports go. And let them defend that oil. And let's see Iran attack those ships. And what does that do for Iran's relationship? I mentioned this last week on Fox Business, and to me it makes all the sense in the world. You can see the bonds and notes giving back a chunk of the action today. In the grain markets, this is the correction time. You only can keep discounting so long, and then eventually what happens is the markets give you a pullback in them. And a lot of people think the 450 area in Indices corn will be that support zone. In the bean market, big unknown. You've still got planning going on. Can't quite tell things there. Back up in Bitcoin just a little bit. And nat gas, well, you know, the first time you're going to see 90-degree weather and swelt there, you'll be putting on a big number into that gas. The question is when and if, and I am not a whiffer of that. All the metals backing off a little bit. We know the copper got a big bite yesterday because people are thinking, well, if the U.S. and China can do anything that's beneficial to the copper market, I couldn't argue that. Dollar retreating a little bit in front of the Fed. Now, the day's activity. You know all about the Fed today. I went through that. OPEC members have agreed that they're going to have a two-part meeting starting July 1st, followed with the non-OPEC states on the 2nd. So OPEC formally July 1st, then on the 2nd with Russia, so to speak. Consumer prices in Canada rose 0.4% month over month, the same pace as April, and up 2.4% from May 2018. So they're getting some price pressure, a little bit of their inflation coming in. Eurozone economic data highlights CPI up 0.1% on the month versus an expectation of 0.2. May CPI met the year forecast of 1.2%. Core CPI, though, down 0.1% on the month and only up 0.8 on the year. This is the big problem for the Eurozone. They continue to feel that. The current account surplus narrowed. They're doing less trade to 21 billion euros from 23.5. The U.S. MBA mortgage market headline recap. I looked to see if interest rates are spurring people on. In all categories, they were down this week. So maybe people think, wait for the Fed, let's see what happens. You're hearing talk that the Fed wants to lower rates. That could keep people away from wanting to refinance and do a number of things, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, I will be discussing this and a lot more in detail tonight, because I'm going to write all about what the Fed does, what the reactions are to it. So you'll get the commentary. In the mornings, what I do is I put out a video. I get up and record starting about 5:30, 6 in the morning, and I'll cover 40 futures markets, 5 ETFs, and I'm giving you what I'm seeing on the chart action, what I think you should do, where your stop order should be, profit objectives. So you're getting the writing, you're getting that. If you have a phone, I also often do oral updates during the day. So you can get all this information one of several different ways. If you haven't seen my info, I'd like to put it in your hand. It's really simple. For those of you that use window envelopes, I give you those numbers as well, and a lot of people don't in the industry. So if you're interested in seeing what this is all about, it's simple. If you haven't tried it before, just give us a call at 866-973-2077. You can always go to our website, www.iraepstein.com. You'll see our carousel of free offers. Choose what you'd like. We'll get it in your hands. I'm Ira Epstein. You have yourself a great day. I'll see you at the end of the trading day. Good luck. Good trading to you.